Hey, what's up?
Hey,
All right,
how's it
there we go.
going?
Good, how are you? I've never done live before. This is so new to me.
Yeah, it took some getting used to for me as well. But it's good to talk to you. It's been a minute since we had you on our podcast that we did at LA Talk Radio. When it's back and we're back in living normal conditions, as normal as we can get, I'd love to get you back on. Uh,
Yeah, thanks so much, dude. This is really cool that you're doing this. I would never be able to figure out a workaround, and this is really clever. I like
I'm
it.
trying. I'm trying to maintain some sort of sanity by doing this. Since I don't even know what days it is anymore, what hour, anything. Uh, Emily, I can never say your last name.
Oh, it's okay. Svensson. It's very
Svensson.
Scandinavian.
Okay, I
Yeah.
love it though. It's cool. And
Thank you.
I gotta say, you've been keeping me super entertained with your TikTok videos. We're going to get into that in a bit, but why don't you tell, because again, we share this on our YouTube channel and it makes it easier for others to access it that way as well and to share it. So why don't you tell anyone that's watching and listening a little bit about yourself?
Thanks. Yeah, well, I'm a writer and director of dark comedy in Los Angeles. I work a lot in the camera department, but I've been out here for 6 years, and I'm just trying to build that career for myself. So that's basically it. That's the short end of it, I guess.
Yeah,
But yeah.
that's great. And it's so great how you're allowing yourself to be creative during these times. Were you working on anything before this whole stay-at-home order was in place? Did you do the stay-at-home order right away or before it was suggested? How was your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, well, like a lot of my colleagues and you too, I imagine, I had a pretty booked up couple of months
Hmm.
getting ready for some personal passion projects, which, depending how things go this year, they should hopefully still happen this fall, but I don't want to talk about it too soon to
Right.
jinx it because obviously this happened. We weren't
Right.
expecting that. So the lockdown happened right when we were going through our first festival for our anthology series from the first podcast that we were talking about. And so that went really well. We won an award for it, like Spirit of Indie Film Festival Award. It was at Idlewild, California. So that was pretty cool.
Awesome.
And I
That was
wasn't taking
recently
it too
too, right?
serious.
As the quarantine was happening.
Yeah, yeah, as the quarantine was happening, but I have to say, as a very jaded millennial, I was not taking it seriously right in the beginning because, like when
Okay.
I was going through high school, just 4 short years, we had like H1N1, SARS, MRSA, swine flu, bird flu, mad cow disease, like all these things back to back to back, and nothing
Hmm.
happened. Like they maybe lasted a week to a month. And so
Hmm.
I kind of thought something similar, and maybe I was naive to think that, but I just didn't want to go into full panic mode.
Right.
But then when I got home from Idlewild, I was like, oh, this is really serious. And so then
Uh-huh.
I just, I didn't want to obviously become part of the problem, so I just stayed home and I'm with my family and we're all just hunkering down like everybody else. So
Yeah. No,
yeah,
it's
that's what we're
interesting.
doing.
A lot of, yeah, no, it's perfect, and I see that on your videos. But a lot of
Yeah.
people didn't take it take it seriously at first, because, as you mentioned, there were so many scares of possible pandemics in the past. Um,
Yeah.
but as ironically, I kind of researched this recently when I was talking to one of my friends, and we realized that a lot of those times when those were being mentioned, there was also a quicker, more stock to it that we weren't
Yeah.
aware of. So I
Yeah.
think that's something
That's
that
very
is interesting now, finding out that certain leaders in different countries and in our country were hearing about this and saying like, "Oh crap! Like let's put a stop to this now before it spreads," and they did. And then we're
true.
sitting here bitching like, "Oh God, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that serious." And it's kind of like it wasn't that serious because things were done, as opposed to now where
Yeah.
everyone was just like, "Is it serious though?" you know, I mean, spring
Yeah.
breakers,
I
right?
totally
Florida.
agree. Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, but I heard something really funny through TikTok, and it's just like some kid mentioned that our entire country is the Florida of the world, which I thought was really funny but very accurate,
It
just with our
is.
behavior and our treatment of the whole situation.
It's so weird to me because I have family in different parts of the world. I have friends in different parts of the
Same.
world, and we're talking,
Same.
communicating, during this time. Odd hours, because we both on different parts, like we used to be respectful, not that we're not anymore, but we used to be like considerate about like the time differences now. Now it's kind of like we don't even know what the time is, and we're calling each other at 3 a.m, and it's kind of like not a big deal because we're not aware, because time is just like, what now? What does it exist?
Yeah.
And they're telling me how they're dealing with it, how like in my country in Peru, and I kind of laugh at this, they had this thing called where you had a curfew. It was a countrywide curfew, so it wasn't quite as how extensive it is now, where just go out just for the essentials. It was legit. You can go out and about, but you have to be home by 8, for example. They changed it because then they realized that wasn't working, because all you're doing is like go to bed early. That's not doing anything. But there was this literally a curfew. I think it was at 8 p.m. and they had to be in the house, and they would have police going down the street making sure no one was out, because everyone had to be indoors by 8, because they thought that was the time that would stop this freaking pandemic in that country. And this is my country. I was laughing at it. And then someone shared a video where this man walked outside, was arguing with his wife. His wife was like, walk the dog. And he was like, I don't want to walk the dog. Like, I'm going to get in trouble. She was like, we need to walk the dog. So he walks the dog. He gets arrested with his dog. And
oh, wow. Yeah.
And then they showed in the jail other people with their dogs that got arrested for walking their dogs after 8. And I was thinking, like, that's insane. So they held them like overnight as a lesson learned, like, don't do that. And I'm thinking, like, how are you helping the situation by, putting them in close quarters with their with their pets for walking their pets? I just thought it was interesting how each country is dealing with it. And now they learn. So now it's kind of like how we're dealing with it, where they have to stay at home. But I do think it's reading threads online on social media where so many people can't look past this country. It's so political, and it doesn't make sense why this isn't a political issue. And people are saying like, oh, they want to take our freedom. Someone made a video how a mask equals stripping your freedom, and I was like, how is that? And they're saying like we should go out and work and give up our lives for our economy. I'm like, so death is not taking your freedom away, but putting a mask on is taking your freedom away. I don't understand the logic, but
I definitely have like a lot of political opinions about this, and I don't even know where to start. I mean, the whole thing is really messy. But I saw a similar video from Now This, and they were showing a lot of people in Michigan, a lot of Trump supporters, of course, who were trying to stop medical workers from getting into a hospital to do their job because they wanted to go back to work and have life go back as normal. And it's like, hey man, look, I get that. We're all working class. This is not a Republican or a Democratic thing. Everyone wants to go back to work. Nobody's lazy about this. But this is a serious health crisis, and we just have to stay inside. Like, you can't be a baby about it. You just got to do what we need to do to get this to flatten the curve, as they say. And a lot of my best and closest friends since high school, they're all medical professionals. I was like the only weird one that wanted to get into art and, and do cinema and stuff. But they're all, they're on the front lines every single day, and I'm checking on them constantly. My mom's a flight attendant, so she's considered essential. She's going to work. I panic about that all the time, so like this is a very serious issue, and people have to listen. We need to stay at home until things blow over, which I know blowing over, that's like putting it lightly.
Exactly.
But this is very serious. And a lot of those people, especially in that one Now This video, those people protesting in Michigan, they could be carriers, but they're asymptomatic. That's the scariest part about the whole crisis. It's that like you could have symptoms and not know, but that's how you are infecting other people, and that's why we need to put this isolation in place, and people need to abide by it. It's very important. This is not like a liberal or democratic conspiracy. This is real life. This is serious.
Exactly.
People really need to pay attention to that.
They honestly do. I don't understand what's so difficult about it. I had a conversation with someone online, a friend of mine that I've known since high school, and he was telling me, I'm just going to have this conversation with you to play devil's advocate. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And he said, I think it's important that we resume as much normalcy as possible and go back out. And I said, okay, here's my thought. There was a meat plant that literally closed because they were living life and working as normal as possible. And over 200 of their employees were now confirmed cases of carrying the coronavirus. And many of them are now extremely ill. Over 200 in one workplace because they went and was doing normal life and whatnot. And so my thing is, it's not, I can understand like what you said. We don't all just want to sit at home. We do want to go back to work. We want to resume some sort of income or regular life outside of our home. I want to see something that's implemented where we could maybe learn new habits, like the mask. Someone called it like, and I dislike this. This is a video that I saw and I was really upset by it. But this woman said, I'm not going to wear a mask that's going to make me look like a Muslim. This is what's wrong with people.
I mean, I think for a lot of people too, it comes down to economics. You know, I've been reading a lot of articles about how it's been the past. I thought it was just 30 years, you know, like a little bit past like how old I am, but it's actually been the past 4 decades of just like corporate greed in America. And that's why people are so desperate to get back to work. It's because we can't afford life.
You can't.
And, you know, we kept, you know, complaining about how we can't get affordable healthcare or education anymore. Everything in our country is so privatized. And then suddenly the government is able to come up with trillions of dollars of bailouts for big corporations. And it's just like, I think that's the most infuriating part, you know, it's just like, we know that big corporations are squeezing the government and then the government is forced to squeeze small businesses. And that's not how that was ever supposed to go.
Right.
Even when our country started with, you know, Constitution and Declaration of Independence, like that was never law.
Right.
And it just happened that way because, you know, like, I mean, I even read a lot about capitalism and everything. And, you know, the textbook definition of capitalism for a country as large as ours and a population as massive, it should work. Like trickle down theory should work. And it did for a while. You know, it was thriving in the 80s and 90s. That's why our parents have like all this great stuff. You know, they can have a summer house in Connecticut.
Right.
We can't even get an apartment.
Right.
But, you know, it's because of corporate greed. It's like the system totally failed us. And so, you know, younger people want to go more progressive and have change. And older people want things to go back the way they were. And it's just a big political mess that's infecting all of our lives and businesses and just our way of life, our way of economy, our everything.
You nailed it.
And this the pandemic is just exposing all of these problems that we have as a nation. So I don't know. I wish I could say like it's going to get better. I don't know if it will.
Right.
But we all just have to ride this one out together and see what happens and you know, vote.
Well, that's the main thing right there is voting. And it's interesting because someone was telling me the reason why Trump was elected is because they wanted something different. Like you said, it's been years, it's been decades of corporate greed. And I thought it was ironic because people, if you explain some things that Bernie Sanders is saying without mentioning Bernie Sanders, then they start thinking like, oh, that sounds interesting. Like, I wonder if that could work. And then you mentioned Bernie Sanders and it's like, that's socialism, that's communism. I'm saying like, look, I understand where you're coming from, but if you want change, electing someone that literally comes from corporate America and is everything about corporate America is not going to bring the change. It's going to be the opposite. You know, it's going to be the extreme opposite, which is yes, he talks different. That's not a compliment, you know?
No, I mean, I have to say, like, with politicians or any good salesman, you know, the American public, I apologize, this is going to be hugely insulting, but we like being lied to. It's like, oh, yeah, you don't want to pay high taxes anymore? Don't worry, I'll promise you that. And so they'll, you know, that'll get them their vote. It's just like, oh, we'll bring back the coal mining industry. So you know, you and your daddy and your granddaddy and great granddaddy could, you know, keep up the tradition or something.
Right.
That's not going to work anymore. It's just not, you know, and he just made all of these false promises that got votes to get him into office. But I mean, that's the past. And really, I just want to move forward with change, hopefully. And I mean, he didn't even really win. It was the Electoral College, which should be abolished anyway.
Right.
So,
exactly.
You know,
Agreed. Agreed. Well, my thing is too, is like, we have people that are talking about how our environment is great, like there's like climate change isn't a real thing, like all these things. And you're looking at different parts of the world where we've been in our homes, not polluting our planet because we're not out there polluting it. And you're seeing a vast difference in our planet. Like I walk out of my at my yard not as often as, I mean, before I didn't walk in the yard as much at all, you know, but now I'm like I'm appreciating my backyard, but I'm looking at my grass and it's so beautifully lush and green. And I'm looking at the air and the quality of it. I'm in Orange County, and I've seen people share pictures of LA County and time lapses saying like, this was 6 months ago, this was 3 months ago, this is now. Look at the huge difference in the air quality. I mean, obviously, we're doing something, and it's not right. And now it's kind of like what you said, this pandemic is really exposing a lot on all aspects of it. I'm not just political, our humanity, our world as a whole. And I think that's what's interesting about it. And that's what I want to do right now. Is like I want to focus on that for myself.
Yeah.
Is look at myself and look at what we could do or what I could do to be better once this is all clear. Because I think once I figure that out, then I can help and spread that as well, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the beauty of democracy and the people. I think we all do want the same thing, but it's just trying to get government that moves slowly on purpose and trying to get the right people to lead us in the right direction, not just our country, but every country in the world, you know, to like work together and see that through. I think that's the most difficult part, really, and why there hasn't been change the past 4 or 5 decades, you know.
Scary.
And especially if there's like, you know, a collapse to a certain structure, you know, be it climate change or something, you know, I think the wrong people in power would rather see us have full climate change collapse for monetary gain. If it results in monetary gain, you know what I mean? It's just, it goes back to the same thing of corruption and greed. And that's really scary. So, but I don't, you know, we don't know where the future is headed. We just hope for the best, right? That's like all we have.
Yeah. That's all we have. And then the difference that we have as creative beings, and in the industry that we work in, is that we're able to tell stories and maybe share what our opinion is or educate people on what we've learned. And I think that's probably part of the reason why so many people get upset with Hollywood, is because they see it as we're trying to push an agenda. It's not, I want to say the majority is not pushing an agenda. It's just like, here, this is what I would like to see. You know, because every
I definitely
TV show, movie has a lesson, you know, at the end of it. Whatever the lesson may be, there's a point to each program and film, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why I love cinema and storytelling, and that's why I got into it. You know, I always felt it was the most powerful thing to spark any kind of social change. Like, I don't even know where to start. I'm losing my train of thought just because I have so many ideas for it. But I don't know. Let's just take comedy for example. You know, it's an easily fed thing to the masses. It's cheap to make, which is I think one of the reasons why TikTok is doing so well. I have a lot to say about that app, but more on that later. But there's also a lot of truth in jest. You know, so like if you make something that's really funny, and it has a lot of truth to it, you know, people will be willing to watch and digest that through comedy rather than just having someone on their soapbox yelling at them and telling them that their way of life is, or their train of thought is wrong or something, you know. I think it would just be a much better way for them to listen and think about stuff, because it's my friend called it stealth education, and I think that's really accurate. That's really cool. Yeah.
No, that's on point. And it's true because like I don't watch news, and the way I get my information is through comedy. I watch like John Oliver. Like that's my source of news. Like I watch those types of comedians that are giving very much relevant news, very true factual, relevant news, and they're giving it in a way that it's kind of like it makes you laugh and give you that aha moment, like what, like how is no one getting this? And it's not making fun of people or anything in general. It's just making fun of the situation so we can laugh at it and then figure out, okay, now that we laugh, let's fucking do something about it. Like, you know, like, or why is nothing being done about this? You know, so that's my source of getting information, because I can't do the news. The news is just like, I can't, you know.
I have to say I mean, I have to say I've like really outgrown both sides. I mean, obviously Fox and CNN are two polar opposites of each other, right? But the news companies are all owned by one family in New York. And the rest of it's just all bread and circus, you know, it's all theatrics. And Facebook is no better. Like the way they have the algorithm is that you're just sitting in an echo chamber of your friends and family spewing out the same thing, bouncing off the walls, right? I mean, that's what an echo chamber is. So, you know, getting your news from those sources, I think, should no longer be relevant or really listened to. I think other things that are maybe a little more in between, like NPR, I think is a really great source, you know, for getting factual information and good journalism. New York Times, Washington Post, you know, all of those places I think are so far pretty safe.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely think comedy is a great funnel into getting all of that information without, you know, being completely turned off or swayed in one way completely, you know.
Yeah, and I could tell because you're a super funny person.
Thank you. I try. I try
but
really
talking
hard.
to you, it's super deep and educating. It's you know what I mean? Like you're opening up the mind. We're having a good conversation here. And if we were behind keyboards, like what you said, like if you're on Facebook, you and I could be agreeing or disagreeing with something. You wouldn't know what my reaction is to yours genuinely because it's through a keyboard. I could go yelling at you, and then it goes into insults and then stupid memes, you know, and that goes where? You're absolutely right, where it's an echo chamber, because that's what it is. We're just spewing out what? So when you're a creative person like yourself, and you're putting together projects that help and spread a message, I think that's what's wonderful about it. You know,
Thanks.
I want to get into. I've been watching your TikToks. I gotta say, I have TikTok, but I'm not on TikTok. I go for the what you know, the comic relief. Like it's so great because the art community, creatives are really helping this time right now, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been binge watching Netflix like crazy.
Oh my god, seriously. Yesterday, for the first time, I haven't seen this movie and I've heard so many things, and I watched the Florida Project for the first time. It crushed me. I was just like, I've never seen it, and I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, and the metaphor, and I was like trying to I was freaking out about it. Anyways, different thing. But I found your TikTok on Facebook because you shared on Facebook.
Okay, I'm bored in the house and I'm in the house bored. Bored in the house and I'm in the house bored. Bored in the motherfucker in the house bored, and I'm bored in the motherfucker in the house bored. Bored in the house, bored in the house bored. Bored in the house, bored in the house bored. I'm bored in the motherfucker in the house bored.
Yeah, so I mean, that seems kind of counterintuitive and silly, like I'm putting TikTok on every social media platform. But it's only because, thank you, I mean, it's only because a lot of people, older people especially, like our generation up, don't really have TikTok. Like a handful of millennials are getting on TikTok now because of the quarantine. But, you know, before it was like exclusive to teenagers, you know?
No, it's true. It's true. I love watching it. I go on there and see how just creative everyone is. I love the artists. The ones that share how like their artwork on there, and you see it as it develops. They get so creative with this, and they don't. So many people on TikTok that are artists, like painters, are now understanding what filmmaking is like. That never thought of filmmaking, because they're getting super creative with their cuts and their everything. I'm like looking at this. I'm like, this is amazing. I love this because.
This is so cool. I'm sorry, I have to interrupt.
No, you're good.
Like, speaking of those camera tricks, I saw one TikTok where a girl just put her cell phone, you know, on those like sushi things that like go around, so you can just like pick off a sushi plate. She just like put her phone on one plate and it just went around and looked, it was like a voyeur at all of these people sitting around, and it just looked like a dolly shot. It was crazy. I was like, this is so clever. Like, she doesn't even know she's doing this cool like professional film industry camera trick,
right?
But she can. Like, it looks awesome.
That's what I mean. That's what I love it, because you see some amazing things, some amazing videos, and they're so short and sweet. And the thing is like, some of them I wish they were longer. Like, I'm sitting there like, keep going. So that's why, like, when I saw your TikToks on Facebook, that's like I said, I'm on TikTok, but I didn't come across it there. I came across it on Facebook, and you know, on Facebook it'll scroll up to the next video. And then I basically was binge watching your freaking TikToks. So I was just like, thank you. You know, I started singing the song, you know, Born in the House. Yeah. You know, I was just like, my nephew and niece were like, I have to give... Okay.
Well, I have to give a huge shout out to the guy who made the song. It went viral, of course, but his name is Curtis Roach, and I'm just too much of an old timer to figure out, because I don't edit within the app. So I'll edit outside of the app and then just upload the video. But because I'm uploading the video, it looks like it's my original audio, and it's not. It's from this guy named Curtis Roach. And yeah, his song totally blew up on the app, and I've just been using that every single time to make the same video in a different way. So,
which I gotta say, so what inspired you to make these videos aside from quarantine?
Dude, honestly, it's self-explanatory. I was bored in the house, and I was in the house bored. Like, I was fooling around with the app because I was bored and I didn't really know what to do, and so I was kind of scrolling through and I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun. And then I found that song, and I was playing around with the app. That's what got me into doing it. And so I filmed a couple of clips and I put it together and realized, oh, this is kind of funny. And it got a tremendous response through all of my friends and stuff. And they were like, yo, this got me through my day. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like, this is helping people. Not to like a huge level. I'm not viral or anything. I honestly don't understand the algorithm at all. Like, all I have are like creepy old white conservative Republican dads following me on this app, and I don't understand. Like, that's weird, because why would you have the app? It's just like you're watching 15-year-olds dance on this app, you know? Like, get a life, dude.
Right.
But you know, for my friends and stuff, you know, this is like a really depressing time, but I love dark comedy, and that's what I want to do in the narrative world, in the professional film industry. That's why I'm in LA. That's why I work in the film industry. But this is just a shorter, faster way to kind of achieve the same thing. Like, my comedy is not dark in this app. It's superficial, and so it's like easily digestible, but it's getting people through their day and through this quarantine, and it's cheering them up sometimes. And like, honestly, there are a couple of days where I'm not making a video because like I don't have an idea, or I'm not in the mood for it, because you know, the situation's kind of crappy for all of us. But, you know, if I have an idea, I'll just like hop to and do it, and it's only 15 seconds, and it's a really quick turnaround. And, you know, if I make someone feel better because I made that video, then I've done my job. Like, that's the best, you know? Like, that's the whole point of it. So,
honestly, I shared it with my mom. I shared it with my nephews and nieces. They think it's great. I get a kick out of them. I even rewatch them. I'm not joking. I rewatch them. I love the fact that you incorporated your family in it as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's only us here, so like, you gotta use what you got. And my parents are great. They're so fun about it, you know.
No, that's what I mean. Like, it's hilarious. Like, everything that you're doing on there. The one where you're planking everywhere, that was freaking hilarious.
Dude, you know what's so weird about that? Like, I was having a really off day too. I was just like, God, I don't have an idea, and I just like, I don't know what to make, and I'm feeling the lows of this quarantine today. And then I just thought, oh, well, how do I feel? I'll just film that. And so I planked everywhere, and it ended up being pretty good.
That's good.
Okay, I'm bored in the house and I'm in the house bored. Bored in the house and I'm in the house bored. Bored in the motherfucker in the house bored, and I'm bored in the motherfucker in the house bored. Bored in the house, bored in the house bored. Bored in the house, bored in the house bored. I'm bored in the motherfucker in the house bored.
And you must have missed you must miss being in the camera department, because then you were the other one was you were with your AC bag, right? And you're putting marks down, and you're that was your mom, right? Was that your mom?
Yeah, that was my mom.
That was amazing. That was so cute.
So that got a really cool response on Facebook, because I'm I use Facebook now more for business because I'm really not on there very much. But like I'm friends with a lot of people in the industry, a lot of people that I haven't even met in person yet, but probably will because this industry is a tight one. So, you know, they commented on that like crazy. They were like, dude, this one's your best one. And I love this video. And like, I miss being on set so bad. And like, this gave me all the feels and nostalgia. And I was like, oh, wow, you know, like, that's great. Yeah, me too.
Okay, I'm bored in the house and I'm in the house bored. Bored in the house and I'm in the house bored. Bored in the motherfucker in the house bored and I'm bored in the motherfucker in the house bored. Bored in the house, bored in the house bored. Bored in the house, bored in the house bored. I'm bored in the motherfucker in the house.
That's cool. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it. So you're gonna keep going with it for as long as this quarantine goes on for. I mean, I'm hearing sometime in May, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as long as I have an idea and it's still positivity that I can put out there, I'm happy to do it. I think, I mean, this is a little excessive because obviously the app is just supposed to be sort of like our generation's version of America's Funniest Home Videos. That's the way I see this app, and I think it's genius. But I almost want to experiment with it further. I don't know if anyone out there would want to collaborate on this because it would require so much time and energy and resources. But I'd be really down to shoot something vertical and do something narrative with like a proper camera and serious editing and just get that in for like a minute. You know?
What's the length of time that you're allowed on TikTok?
So the maximum one is a minute, but kids are so freaking clever with this app. I've seen a couple of stories where they'll film something on their phone, and I'm pretty sure they're scripting this out because some of it's a little too on the nose, but they'll do like a part one, you know, like maybe if they find this mystery box in their yard that was like a time capsule and it just happened to be there and they happened to find it, you know?
Right, yeah.
But like, it's interesting how they approach it. So it's like, this is a part one. And so like, of course you want to see what's inside. So you follow them, and then you can like wait for their part two of that video to see what's inside the box, you know? So I think that's like really clever, but it's interesting. I don't know. I've been like hugely against vertical format because that's everything against what we do as filmmakers. But just for like social, I mean, the way I started Bored in the House was for a social experiment and just like shallow entertainment and just something messing around with the app. I wouldn't mind experimenting with it further and just doing some kind of like real narrative with a real camera and real actors, like, and just do something, you know, for a minute or whatever, just do like a series. I think that's kind of interesting because I know, like, I think Quibi is trying to do something with that, like that new company, but no one's had a response for it yet because it's brand new. So everything's up in the air for that, I guess.
Right. Now that sounds like a really good idea. Is that something you would want to do like in the near future when this is all done, or is that something you want to collaborate with now while you're in quarantine?
I mean, trying to do it in quarantine is really difficult. And, you know, my parents are amazing and I love them, but I don't think they'd be
sure, bring cast and crew, come on up. You know?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they'd really be willing to be the main actors in something. So I figured like that would be kind of cool to do something after quarantine, but who's to say, because I think everyone's just going to try to like hurry up and hustle and get back to as normal as possible. Like, what is normalcy after this? I don't know, but like trying to get back to our careers and our lives. And, you know, we all had projects sitting on the table waiting for us, and all of that's just been put on hold. So, you know, I think it would be a cool thing to try. But as far as it actually happening, I mean, I think everyone's going to try and hurry back to their old stuff, and myself included. So we'll see. But I think it's an interesting idea.
Yeah, I think it's just a thought that I just had is I think that anyone that has dealt with almost life-changing experiences understand what this all means, if that makes sense. And I'm not talking about TikTok. I'm just talking about what was happening in general with the pandemic, because it literally just popped in my head. Like, for example, I had like many years ago, I almost lost my dad, and he was in a coma for a long time, for a while. And then he came out. So he was in the hospital for like 6 months. And then when he came out of it, we all had to, like my family had to learn a new way of life, like being more safe, more like there were certain things until it got back to normal and we got back into old habits. I think that's what we're going to be experiencing it, because like last year, I was going through some major stuff with my mom, and then as my mom was getting better, I had to rush my dad in the hospital. Like he had major surgery, and we were freaking out because it was like took us back to when many years ago when he was in the hospital. Like it was very scary, and it was weird to see that in 1 year I literally could have lost both my mom and my dad, you know. And it's kind of like we came back home and started thinking, what's going to be the new normal now? Like we had to make some major changes, like installing things in the house, making updates in the house, a lot of things so that we can deal with this now for their safety. And now we're dealing with this pandemic, and like what you were saying earlier, we don't know what the future has. But I feel that if once we get out there, we're going to have to figure out a new way of life until things get back to that normal. Like it'll get back to normal. I just don't think it's going to be right away, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, I totally agree. And our generation, like, I'm sorry to keep pulling this card because I know boomers are sick of it, but whatever. Our generation has it so hard, and the next generation will too. My niece is in Gen Z, and we FaceTime all the time. She's in college right now, and we just talk about what is life going to be like when we're both 30. Obviously, she'll be younger than I am, but like when we both hit 30, what is life going to be like? What's life going to be like after this pandemic and stuff? And I don't know, like it's interesting. I definitely think it's going to take some time to get back to whatever normal is, and hopefully there is a new normal, and I hope that it will be better than what we have, because like I said, there's no way of knowing right now. All we have is hope.
And TikTok.
And TikTok, yeah. But it's kind of interesting, you know, I feel like our generation will come out really tough because we've had to deal with a lot of stress and trauma, whether it's financial or personal or both, and just deal with every single problem that our country and our world has, and just try to like fix it and turn this ship around. And I don't know, like I've been hearing interesting things from all sorts of people. It's like a lot of people are saying how they're, however they've handled stress or trauma before is how they're handling this pandemic now. But some people are doing really well with it and other people aren't. Both are okay, but I don't know, like we just got to stick together and stay as a community. I think that's one of the reasons why I like TikTok so much is, one, I get this really cool window into everyone's suburban life, but two, it's like a really helpful sense of community, and it's really tight. It's really cool. Because everyone's kind of feeling the same thing, and everyone's spread far apart, and especially now with isolation, you can't just like go and talk to someone physically, so you can just do it online, which seems weird to like, you know, live your life online like that. But that's the normalcy for right now at this moment. And I think that's why it's working for so many people. And for me too. I mean, even as an older person, like I think that's helping a lot.
Yeah. I got to say though, because I feel like we keep circling back and forth. It's really interesting because you're right. We all find different ways of coping, whether it's doing something or watching other people do it. You know what I mean? Like how I watch your TikTok. I swear, like, I don't even remember how I came across it, because I'm friends with you on Facebook, and I think it popped up once and scrolling through feeds, and I loved it since, honestly. And then when I saw it there, I was like looking at the name, because you know how it says it on the bottom corner, like the TikTok logo. So I went on the TikTok that I have. Like I said, I only have it to follow. You know, to watch. So I went on there.
Some people are like followers and voyeurs, and others are creators. I started as a voyeur too, and then I was just like, oh, I'm gonna play with this app because I'm, you know, I want something to do. You know.
But it's great. It's so great, and that's why when I kept watching them, I kept watching them, and I was like, I gotta contact her. I gotta talk to her about this, because I wanted to thank you honestly,
Yeah.
like in as best in person as we could, because this is the best we can,
Thank you.
you know, in
Yeah, no,
person.
great.
Because I can't physically go to see, you know, knock on your door and be like, thank you,
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
because
Yeah,
that's
we
basically
gotta
what it is.
yeah, we gotta stay part of the solution. So this is perfect. This is great.
This is, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you, so you have some projects, you don't really want to get into it because, you know, we don't know what fall is. I've had projects too that's currently on hold. What do you think it's going to be like when you come back into this industry? Because I know you're in the camera department. Do you think it's going to be
Hmm.
bombarded? I read somewhere, and my friend shared it with me yesterday, and she kind of panicked about it, where um, they're saying independent filmmaking is probably going to end up dying out because of this. I personally don't think that's true.
I agree. I don't think that's true either. I think people who are in the union have it harder than people who are non-union. I've been reading a lot of articles about how the union is not really taking care of them, or like you don't really have any options. You know, you can kind of like defer payment or like try to get unemployment or something like that, but they still expect you to pay dues. And I'm just like, how's that
Wow.
possible? Like nobody's working. How's that possible? You know?
Wow.
And I've been like really, you know, with unions, I'm like approach with caution, you know, because I have the eligibility, I'm eligible to join the local 600, and I've called them a couple of times just asking questions. And first of all, you know, even before this pandemic, it's like really expensive to join the one union that I am qualified for.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just starting at base level, and then the dues every year are really expensive. And I've spoken to people in the industry who are older, and they said, yeah, it's like really expensive now. We don't understand how that's changed so much. So everything is just kind of like financially impossible, or you just have no options. And it's not better with like they're not letting up with this pandemic, from what I understand. Um, so I think the people who are in the union have a bigger stress than people who are non-union. Um, I mean, I hope I still have a couple of projects to come back to when this all blows over. I think I do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of up to the production companies, obviously. I
Right.
think it could go one of two ways. You know, if everyone had all these projects on hold, we expect that when this is over, we'll all just get called back for these jobs, and you know, sets will be flooded
Right.
because we'll all just like hurry back to work.
Right.
Or I mean, I don't think the money would have run out. You know,
I
like theoretically, I don't think the money would have run out for them to not do production anymore.
I don't, unless they're dabbing into that money, which they're not supposed to.
Right.
We have a couple projects that is one's in development and it's starting, and we were set to begin in the fall, and then
Hmm.
the other one we were set to wrap in March. Obviously, that one got
Hmm.
on hold. That was the end of March.
Yeah.
That held, that money is still there for that when we are back to go in and film it. Then
Hmm.
we access that funds and shoot it. We're not touching it
Yeah.
because that's what that fund is dedicated for. Then
Hmm.
after that, I talked to a couple other productions that are the same thing, where they have their funds and it's just for that. They're not touching it
Hmm.
until we return. So
Yeah.
I feel like, I know me personally, I have a couple of things going once this is all done.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like I do too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's going to get to the point where some of them I might have to, you know, shift things around to
Hmm.
make it work where I can be a part of all of them. You
Hmm.
know, I mean, two of them I'm directing, but the other ones I'm ADing. So obviously I
Hmm.
have to shift the stuff that I can have the power to shift, but without messing up my cast and crew either. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Like, I'm trying to see how I can make it work for everyone involved and make sure that
Yeah.
everyone still has a job to come to when this is
Hmm.
all over. We're gonna be wrapping it up here. What would you recommend for streaming, watching shows, films, whatever, or books, whatever you have to recommend?
Oh wow. Well, for books, I've read almost all of my books. I have one left. I ordered Simon Stollenhag's books. He actually just came out with the new series on Amazon Prime called The Loop. I haven't seen the series yet because I don't have Amazon Prime, but I read his books and they're great.
Okay.
I am a huge fan of Orson Scott Card, if anyone out there is into sci-fi. Uh, And for shows, I'm a huge fan of Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She's like my absolute ultimate hero in the entire film industry. And she did a live stream of her play Fleabag, which eventually became the series Fleabag. So the play was very good. It's just a one-woman show. It's incredible. I've seen her new season of Killing Eve. Her and her friend Vicky Jones have a new series out called Run on HBO Go. Starts out incredible. And I've been watching My Brilliant Friend, which is an Italian series on HBO Go, which I really, really love. I highly recommend that one. It's the cinematography is beautiful, and I found out actually the cinematographer is a French female, which is extra bonus.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, a friend of mine told me to watch Ozark, and I'm cruising through it just as something to help fill up my day.
Okay.
But it's not my favorite. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
But it's still good if you want something that has more to do with like drug-related crime boss kind of theme. So yeah, lots of stuff out there, lots of good stuff.
That's awesome. No, I've watched that the Italian one, and I made a comment on Facebook. I was having an off day. I was watching it. I watch it, and then it was because it's in Italian, and I have the subtitles right on the lower thirds.
Yeah.
So I'm watching it, getting into it as I always do, and then there was a word that was off, and I kind of went like this, and I looked at it. Weird... No, it was in Spanish. I was watching, but I was hearing it in English in my head, but I was reading the subtitles in Spanish, and I was like, what just happened here? Like, it was weird. Anyhow, is there anything you want to promote besides your amazing TikTok videos, which I will share on YouTube?
Thank you so much. You know, we finished our series from our last conversation, so that's just been going around. We're waiting to hear back from other film festivals if we actually got in. Everything, as you know, has been postponed. But it's been going around the festival circuit. It's called Los Angeles series.
Marker. Take one.
And action.
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 Hi, I'm Jasmine Chong.
And I'm Emilie Svensson.
We are the creators of Los Angeles. Hi, I'm Sarah Tither Kaplan.
I'm Lulu Jovovich.
And we're the producers of Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a 9-part anthology series made by 15 women filmmakers. And we just wrapped production, and we hired over 100 people for our cast and crew.
40% POC and 20% LGBTQ. Women made up over 70% of our cast and crew over 9 films.
We are so excited to be going into post-production, and it's our mission to make sure these films have the highest production value possible. And because of that, we need to raise money via crowdfunding on Seed and Spark, and we need your help.
We're back on Seed and Spark to finish the post-production for the project. The $25,000 will go to paying editors, sound designers, composers, and even submitting films to festivals, because every festival has an entrance fee.
The 2-month process it took to film all these shorts is now over, but the work is just beginning.
It was incredibly inspiring and empowering to work with so many wildly talented women in film and people in general on these projects who are so committed and so passionate to making sure these movies were the best that they could be and represented an incredibly diverse and inclusive array of voices.
The purpose of this second round of crowdfunding is to really give the final push to make these projects the best that they can be. We don't want to sacrifice the quality of what we have already with low quality editing and coloring and post-production, and we just have some really good material that we want to take all the way.
As a queer woman and queer filmmaker, I was so excited, especially to work on one of the films in particular called Beware of the Leopard, and look around me and realize that pretty much everyone in the cast and a lot of people on the crew were a bunch of queers. This project wasn't just about filling quotas for diversity and representation, it was about giving voices to people who are marginalized in this industry so often. When you empower people who haven't had that chance before, when they have that chance, they really are appreciative of it and really put in 1,000% effort, and not a single person on this project was not giving their all to it. All of our crews and all of our cast are amazing, and I'm just so thrilled for people to get to see them because they're the best casting crews in the whole world. right?
I mean, yeah, that's unnegotiable.
Yeah, no, that's 100% correct. Yeah. Overall, the Los Angeles family is huge. It's massive. It's hundreds of people, and we're so grateful and so moved by the support that we've received from this community that we've created around this project, and we hope that we make you proud.
And that's why we need your help.
Please contribute to our Seed and Spark campaign if you can.
We can't thank you enough. We really, really appreciate your help and support. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Los Angeles Film in order to get exclusive looks at behind-the-scenes photos and videos of our shoots thus far.
Thank you so much for your continued support. We are so excited to show you what we have.
We're almost there. Help us!
Thank you. We love you.
Thank you so much, guys.
much. Please contribute if you can.
Please
We
share
do
this
love you.
page.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's a wrap.
We are seeking distribution, so
Okay.
if that's of interest to anybody, that's something I would like to put out there.
Okay.
Yeah, any other future projects coming up, we'll see what happens. They were slated for this fall, so I hope those still come to pass. And but you know, TBD.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to say? Because I want to thank you for joining me and talking with me today. Any last words you want to say?
Thank you so much. It's so cool to have this chat again. No, I mean, everyone stay healthy, stay safe, really. Just stay safe.
Seriously.
And, you know, use comedy. Comedy is good right now. We need a lot of it. So watch something funny.
Absolutely. Thank you. You
Yeah.
have a nice day.
You too.
Send
Thanks.
my love and regards and blessings to your family. Tell them
And yours.
I'm
Thank
fans of them because of the TikTok video.
Thank you.
You guys be
They'll love
safe.
that.
You guys be safe,
Thanks,
okay?
you too, dude.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
And now, our feature presentation.
Okay, I'm bored in the house and I'm in the house bored. Bored in the house and I'm in the house bored. Bored in the motherfucker in the house bored and I'm bored in the motherfucker in the house bored. Bored in the house, bored in the house bored. Bored in the house, bored in the house bored. I'm bored in the motherfucker in the house